So let me do a quick recap of where we were last time before we progress for the future session. So my screen is visible to you all, right? So we were, yes, that last session was this Spring 4 manual, and we were creating beans for these classes. Okay, so we had done a bean attribute called auto wire, right? So auto wire is one of the attributes of the bean tag. So today we will try go one step ahead of that and use an annotation based dependency injection called as auto wired. So if you look over here in this string context, if car my car needs a reference type, okay, so whichever reference type it needs, I am not injecting the reference type. Instead I say auto wire by name. So by name means I should have, so in the car class, when I have given the references, I gave engine my engine and gear my gear. So as I have given auto wire by name, as I have given auto wire by name over here, so I should be having these two beans by these object references. So I should be having beans by the ID of, I should be having a bean with the ID of my engine and bean with the ID of my gear. Let's check. So see, I have my engine, correct? And as there is only one single object of gear, as there is only one single object of gear, it will inject this because there is no other eligible candidate. So what we can do, we can go one step ahead now. Without using the auto wire attribute also, what we can do, I will not say auto wire over here. Okay, so now my car needs a engine and it needs a gear. So what I will do is directly what I will do, I'll go to the car class, and where I have made them, I will directly say auto wired. Try to understand this, guys. Very commonly used annotation. And wherever I will say gear, it will go to the bean and it will auto wire directly create an object of the engine. Now this by default is your by name. So this is by default by type. So whichever type of object it will get of engine and of gear, it will bring it over here. Now the question is, now the question over here, what will happen is, for engine, it has two eligible candidates, E1 and my engine, and for gear, it has only one single eligible candidate, this is G1. So G1 will be injected directly, but when it comes to engine, I will have an error that I have two eligible candidates to inject for engine. So when my car says auto wire the engine means pick any bean of, now just by saying auto wire mean it will be of by type. So it will say go to the application context XML file, pick bean which is matching this class. So it will come over here. So when it will come to pick the bean which is matching the engine class, it will be confused. Like I have two beans which are there for the engine class. When it comes to pick the bean for my gear, this is for the gear class. So here it will see there how many beans for gear class. It will say there is only one single bean G1, so there will be no confusion. So it will inject this 201 prime auto and automatic. But the issue will come when it tries to inject the bean for your engine class. So let's try to run this code and check what we face. So I'll right click, run as Java application, and it should give an error. It should give an error. What happened? Okay, we are not making the bean of the car class. So we are not making the bean of the car class. So comment it down. Now I want the bean of the car class, right? So I uncomment this. What happened? Cannot convert. Control Shift O. Okay, I have imported it. Now I do saving. Do a run. And see whether it gives me. Okay, it's fetching. Okay, fetching the car 301 Audi and price 1000. It is fetching this car. So what it is doing is it is fetching the my engine. So what it is doing is now I have two engines over here, right? 102 Honda 18 and 25. See, so what it should have done. So when I said over here that auto wire the car and auto wire the engine, and when I went and displayed my car, it called the to string of my car, and the to string of my car is displaying me the car IDs along with the engine and the gear. So what is it taking over here? So car ID it is taking from car, it is taking these values for car ID C1, right? 301 Q3 Audi, price 1000. That is all fine. That is all fine. But now see, it is not going to inject any for engine and any for my gear. So why is it saying? So if we have to do auto wiring, then we'll have to set some property over there. If we have to do auto wiring, then we have to set over here that we are going to do auto wiring. So here we have to set some contexts. So here we have to set some context over here. Okay. So here what we'll have to do is if we are to use so here here we have to inform the bean that I will not be using the bean from here. I will be using auto wiring. So what settings we have to do in the XML file for auto wiring? Let me check that. Okay. So injecting bean using auto wired annotation. So string and auto wired annotation. So we have to tell in the XML file auto wiring has to be enabled. Okay, I guess this one. This is the setting which we have to do. Enable annotation and base configuration. So we have to do this. Context annotation config. So I take this from here and I put it over here in my B. Okay. So now let's try to do a project clean. We are into Spring Core manual. And now if I try to run this code, now it has injected the bean over here. So directly auto wired it is using, and no need to give any reference, nothing. Directly it has injected this bean, and this gear also it has injected. Okay, this has injected the 18cc1. So what it did is it went for the name. It went for the name. So now if I would give this instead of, okay, now if I come over here and instead of my engine, if I would give it as M1, okay, we have M1 below, okay, engine 1. So here if I say engine 2, if I say over here engine 2, and now if I try to run this code, let's see what happens. Sorry, never run from the XML file. So now it is throwing me an error that I wanted to inject your engine, but I have got two eligible candidates, E1 and E2. Which one do you want? So now if you want to do exclusive, then you can use the @qualifier that inject for me E1. So now if I want to inject this 101, this, okay. So now if I want to inject this engine, so I will say @qualifier. So in the car I will go and I will say auto wire me the engines. So it is telling I have two engine to auto wire. Which one do you want? So there now I will say okay @qualifier, and then here I will give which engine I want to inject. I will say inject me engine E1. So now this error should vanish and engine E1 will be injected. So this will be auto wire by name. So engine E1 has been injected, which I just made the Yamaha diesel 12 and 2700. Now if I don't want this E1, I want to inject E2. So I can just say qualifier E2. That please inject engine 2. So an engine 2 is which one? Which is engine 2? Engine 2 is this 102 Honda 2500. So the CO here 102 Honda and 18. So auto wired just directly instructs the IOC container that I want a object of this class. Please, whichever object you have available, give it to me. And if you want exclusiveness, you can use @qualifier. Am I understood with this, guys? This we will use a lot. Auto wiring we will use a lot in our application. So going forward, whenever I have a dependency of any reference, any object, I will directly auto wire it. So it is a responsibility of the IOC container to give me that object. It is not my responsibility anymore. Okay, so I will not even use auto wiring over here. Okay, then we can also do your dependency injection even without the XML file. So what you can do is you can make a package by the name config package. Make a config package, and in that config you can make a class my configuration, and in that my configuration class you can annotate it with @configuration. So this will now act as your XML file now. You can annotate it as okay, and now you can also give the base package for which you want the configurations to run. Now you can see I have made all these notes for last time. If you are only with Java, then you can make a make a package config. In that put a class my config configuration, and then you can say component scan. So it will scan for all the classes in this package and create the beans for them beforehand. So what it will do is it will scan all these classes which are there in this package. So I have to just give the base package. Okay, so if I just give com.gl, will take all the packages in com.gl, the app package also, model package also. But if you want all the beans of the entity classes, you can just tell this, and no need to give anything in the class. Now it will create the bean of all these classes for you, and whenever you want a dependency injection, it will just auto wire it. So we don't have to now maintain this application context XML file also. Without this also our code will work if you want to do your Java based auto wiring. Okay, dependency injection. So if I come here and I make a class over here, okay, let's make a class called as student, and of this student let me put some private integer roll number, private string s name, and let's do all those boilerplate code which we do. So now if I want a bean, an object of this, I will not use the new keyword, neither will I create a bean for it in the context application, but still it will give me that object. Okay, and now what we have to do is whichever class you want a bean of, annotate that with @component, annotate that with @component. So all the classes which are annotated with @component, the IOC container will have a bean present for such classes. So now just two things we have to do. Make a configuration file, give the package which you want the beans for. So I want the beans for all the classes in this package. Then whichever class you want, as you're doing a Java based dependency injection, annotate it with @component. So it is mandatory that you annotate that class with the @component for it to be eligible for a bean creation. And now you can go to the driver app and directly say, so this class I just created, right? So there is no bean of this in my context application. So directly, okay. So here what you can tell is, directly you can tell me the name of the class. Directly what you can say is, I want a bean of this class. So directly we can say this. Type class to student. Let's save it. Let's try to run it. So it will give you a basic student object. What happened? No qualifying bean for model student. We have annotated with @component. Okay. And commented all the codes. And then it is to be high also. So what it is doing, no such big definition, no qualifying bean for the model student. We have a student. That's how we are doing it. Yeah, just get from the class. Made eligible for auto wiring, right? The configuration is there. Package is form.gl.model. In that model class, we have a class called student. You allotted the class with @component, right? Yes. And then we should be good to go. Okay. Yes, let's say student. Just give the name of the class in all small. Give the name of the class in all small. So, what is it telling? No bean available for student. This happens over here. And nothing to do with the main app. We have to do a scanning over here. Let's try component scan. Okay. So let's do a component scan on the driver app. On the driver app, let's do a component scan, and then it might get a bean. Okay. Yes. no bean name student available. We have it. So in the driver app, you have a component scan also, and get the bean. Directly we have to give the name of the class. Yes. So now, no qualifying bean. But why is it not getting a qualifying bean? We done the configurations correctly. We done component scan. We done it as add configuration. These two things we have to just give. That's all. And you can directly get the bean. Package names are correct. Class is okay. This class I have allotted with add component. String children component. So if I just don't want to keep this file, let's say I delete this file, maybe it's complexing from there. Now we are not using any XML document. We are not using any. Okay, sorry. Now we have to use the name of the configuration file which we have given as a resource, not this. So what is the configuration file? This is the my configuration, right? So it's in which package? So give the name of this over there. So we'll have to give the name of this my configuration. So from here I am getting my configuration from. So from here I am getting my configurations. So we have to allot it with dot class. Dot method does not exist. We have to allot it as dot class. I'm not sure. No, it's not taking it. We have to pass this package over here. Okay, let's try to check now if it's working. Still not working. So in the application context, we normally pass the name of that class which has the configuration. So this is my configuration, and as we are a different package, we have to give the package name. Yes. Okay. So using @configuration. Java config. So this is how we have to do the injection. So we have a @ configuration. My driver app. Okay, just the name of that class, appconfig.class. So as we are a different package, is it in double quotes? Not in double quotes. See, your application context may apply to appconfig.class. That's what we are doing, and then where is my configuration? We have multiple classes also. Class for XML context. Is new now. And okay, we'll have to use this class. Annotation configuration context. We have to use this class. Control Shift O. New annotation configuration. We'll have to change the parent interface. Change the parent interface. Now looks good. And now when I ask for the bean of S1, okay, so if it gives me a bean, and if I have a constructor in this S1, that will be executed. Student constructor call. Now let's try to run it. Okay guys, so like this you can also do your without the now. So I deleted that file, the XML file. Now I made a configuration file, annotated with add configuration, gave the packages in which I want to make the beans of, went to the driver app. This was the class which we wanted, annotation configuration context. Pass in your file which you have given the configuration, and then directly you can get the bean without using any third party XML file. So these two things were pending from last session. Now let's move on for today's session. So I've done a lot of preparation for this week. If you can see the notes which I have prepared, so in a very systematic way, step by step manner. If you see my screen, so these notes I have prepared. Let's start. So today we'll start with the MVC model of Spring. So let me just give you all a overview as to what MVC, the abbreviation I guess we all are familiar with and aware. Model View Controller. Okay. Now, what your model view controller is? Model is the data. So model is like blood which will flow in the body between all the organs. So you can visualize model as the blood flowing in the body. So whatever data is flowing from the back end to the front end and vice versa. So we have back end and we have the front end. Okay. So that is your Java and your front end is React or any of your JavaScript libraries or frameworks such as Angular, Vue.js, whatever. Okay, and we have some other like Thymeleaf is one which is comes with this, which is very compatible with your Spring framework for the UI part. Okay, so this is your UI, the front end you can say. for you. Let's take it as HTML. So whatever data will flow between the backend and the front end, that is your model. So if you want to make data flow of a student class, then make a student class as your model. So this is your M. View is how you display the data. That is your view. View is how you portray the information to the client. That is your view. How would you want your client to view the data? That is a user experience or UI, whatever we can call is your view. So for that we have HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and these libraries and frameworks of JavaScript. So how you would want the user to see the data? That is view. What data you want to show? That is your model. And controller is like the traffic police, you can say, which will give instructions that you go left, you go right, you go straight, you stop for the time being. That is your controller. So if I want to add a student record, so I will make an endpoint called as add student. So when if I want to delete a student record, I will make an endpoint called as delete student. If I want to update a student record, I will make an endpoint called as update student. Now what should happen when the user hits the add student on the URL? Okay, so we are www.greatlearning.com and he enters add student. So now which method should execute when this endpoint is hit? Okay, so this you can think of as your URL, and this after the slash you can think of as your endpoint. So if the user hits a particular endpoint, now he has hit the add student endpoint. So which is that method which is having information about adding a student? Which is that method? Public void add student, and what is the logic? The insert query. Which method is having that? Okay, so let's say I will say add student method. So who will route this user request to this method is the controller. So which user request should be routed to which method for execution is taken care by the controller. Okay, now the user wants to delete a particular student. So he will try to hit this endpoint com dot and delete student, and then he will try to give a ID which student he wants to delete. So now he will try to say question mark. Now the URL ends over here and the parameters start at the question mark. Okay, so your domain ends before the slash. Okay, so this you can call as your path or domain, whatever. So if you have many ventures, okay, so if we have many ventures, great learning slash .com slash full stack December 2020, or let's take simple student slash add student. Okay, so you can think of it this as your domain, then the slash, this has your path, and this as your endpoint. You have three things in this URL. The entire URL will be split into your, this is the domain, this is the path, and this is the endpoint. Now, whenever a particular endpoint is hit, which method has the logic to execute that endpoint? That will be done by the controller. So, if he now enters delete student, and then he has to pass the roll number which he wants to delete. Let's say he wants to delete roll number 1. Now, which is that method? Now, this method has the insert query, so this will not delete the record. So, there should be some other method which will do the deleting. So, public void delete student. This is that method. I'm writing method for your understanding, and this will have all the delete logic. So now, which endpoint should be routed to which method for execution? This routing part is taken care by the controller. So MVC. So this routing is taken care by the controller. So I am having at least a brief idea as to what MVC stands for. Okay. So when I will try to save a record. Okay, let's say the user hits the add student endpoint. The user hits the add student endpoint. Let's take this use case. The user, okay, so these are the endpoints which you can hit, and based on which endpoint, which method should be invoked is taken care by the controller. So if the user wants to add the student details, he will first prepare a form in which he will ask the user enter the employee roll number. Let's say we have roll number, name and percentage. That's the basic things we are taking for the user. So we are asking the user enter roll number, enter stud name, and let's say enter person. And the user enters 101 Alice 78.5. Now this data has to be sent to the add student method. So what will I do? So I will have one model class in my application. In my application, I will have one model class with all these attributes. So I'll have class student. And what all will the class student have? The class student will have integer, roll number, string, sname, and double percentage, and whatever constructor, getter, setter, to string, blah blah blah, whatever extra you want to put, you can put. So now when I will call this add student function, I will have to pass an object of which model. So whatever data is flowing from the UI to the controller to the backend logic, that all has to be your model data. So this is my model class. So it will be in the com.gl.model package. So whatever information is being traded to and fro, that has to be in the form of your model classes. So now when I add this student, okay, just for the sake of the example I am saying, so when I will add this student, I will pass a object of this student class over here. Okay, how it is passed we will see, and then this method will accept the student class object over here. How it is done? By request body, request param, by the model, that we will see. Just take an idea as to what. So the student is the information which is to be saved. So I will accept the information from the student, prepare it in an object, and send that object. That object will come to my business logic, and that object will be then, let's say if I'm using Hibernate, if I am using Hibernate, then I can directly say factory.save. Okay, so session dot save your object as Are you all able to guys join the dots? At least an overview as to what MVC is. We will go into detailing, but these three keywords, is that understood? Anyone having any doubts? Okay, let's now try to go into the implementation part. So I have split this into 5 separate sessions or 5 separate sub modules. This session into, so this is your part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, and then what is model, model map, model and view. We'll go into details about that also. So first let's try to start with a basic MVC project. We'll have a basic model and a basic view and a basic controller. So try to make a dynamic project. And okay, first thing, install your Tomcat, or you'll be needing a server. I guess by watching the videos you all would have done by now. So those who have not done the steps I am giving, so go to the Tomcat website, go to version 9 and just download this zip file, extract this zip file and keep it at a safe location which you can remember. That all we have to do. And okay, so first let's make a new dynamic web project. So B5 Spring Core. So I'll call it as B5 Spring Core. So new. If you don't see the option of dynamic web project over here, you can go to other and search for dynamic web project. Give the name to it. So I'll give B5. We'll have the extension to the Spring Core. B5 Spring MVC. Use the dynamic web module 4 and finish. So now we have a Spring MVC basic project is done over here. Now how to add the server, Windows, servers, choose the server which you have 9 and add that server. Use the directory. So browse and choose the directory where you have extracted your Tomcat. So let's do that in our application. So Windows, show view, servers, and I have added my Tomcat server over here. You all can add it by following these steps. Okay, so you will also see the server. Go for server 9 rather. Okay, go for Tomcat 9. That is good. And now once we have made our application, we have to just set the project facets, the JDK and the server which you are going to use. So right click on your application, go to properties and you see project facets over here. Click on that, choose 4.0 whatever JDK version you are using. If you are using 1.8, go with 1.8 or whichever version you are using. I'll go with 1.8. Go in the run times and then choose the server which we just added. So we added the 9 Tomcat 9. Click it, apply and close. So every time it will not ask us for the server information whenever we run the application. So these basic configurations, do it upfront. Go to properties, project facets, okay, dynamic web project 4.0, JDK as per your choice, runtime, choose the server, apply and close. Okay, and now we have in MVC a dispatcher servlet. Okay, so which is So if the servlets are your police officers, the dispatcher servlet is the commissioner. So the request will come to the dispatcher servlet. The dispatcher servlet will then route it to the appropriate controller. Okay, so dispatcher servlet, whichever client request comes from outside. So let's say this is my boundary of Java, and this is the boundary of the front end. This is my front end part, and this is my back end part. This all will form a full stack developer. So from the front end, whichever request comes, okay, so some request comes from gl.com /student /add student, or let's say it comes register. So this request will first come to the dispatcher server. This is the gatekeeper, you can say. This is the gatekeeper. And then this dispatcher servlet will tell us that where our controllers are kept. So this is just a configuration. Okay, this is a configuration. It's an XML file. So this will just tell us in which package. So let's say my controllers are kept in com.gl.controller. So when the request comes, and this is my package, it will come to the dispatcher servlet as a gatekeeper. My dispatcher servlet will tell, okay, you go to this package, and in this package I can have number of controllers. So I can have a teacher controller. These are all classes. These are all classes which we make. The purpose of this controller is just routing. Okay, it has no business logic in this, just purely routing. So I'll have a teacher controller in this package. I'll have a student controller. So dispatcher servlet will just tell, okay, you have come, you please go to this package. Now in this package, depending on the path, okay, so if it is student, we will route it to the student controller. So this all internal routing is managed by the Spring. So your dispatcher servlet needs to be configured to tell that in which package are your controllers kept. That is only purpose we configure the dispatcher servlet. So in a web application, this XML file, web XML does the routing part. So this sole purpose of this is routing. Web XML will do the routing part, and then how we have configured our dispatcher servlet will get to see over here in this file. And then as we are doing it by the manual way, we are not doing by the Maven way. Okay, so remember when we had done Hibernate, we had done manual way and Hibernate and the Maven way. So as we are doing the manual way, we'll have to download all the Spring this libraries and jars. So let's take these files, web XML and the dispatcher servlet, and the application which we have made, it has given us slots in which we have to place them. So if I go to the src main web app web inf, in this web inf I have to place these two files, the web.xml and the dispatcher servlet.xml, whatever it is. So download these three. I have downloaded them. Okay, so I have downloaded them over here. If you see my screen, web, this is just the routing part. So if you have to make 10 applications, this is just once which we have to learn. how to add them. They have nothing to do with the business logic. And if we are joining a corporate, so it will be very rare that we will be architecting the project from start. So all this configuration will be done prior. So as we are starting from fresh and making a fresh application, then we have to do all this configuration by ourselves. Rest it will be there. So take these two files, copy it. I'll publish all these files in the repo. You all can use it. And it says copy the web XML and that second Excel file and paste in the web INF folder. Paste in the web INF folder. Web INF is there. I come and paste it over here. So this is my web XML. Okay. So what is the application name which you have given? You can use that application name also if you wish to. Okay. So B5 underscore springMVC. And now this is my dispatcher servlet, and I've told that my dispatcher servlet is over here in the web INF by this file name. You can give any file name whatever you want to give. abc.txt will also do, but give a sensible name. So I'm saying this is my springMVC demo servlet.xml, and here is the configuration of my web XML. So here I am telling that if any routing comes, I tell them please you go to this package. Okay, I'm telling that you go to this package and you will get all the information you need. So let's create this base package. So it's your src main java, make a new package with com dot. So we are routing all the requests to this package, and in this package we'll have the controller class. Okay, and what is this view resolver? View resolver is a set of suffix and prefix. What this view resolver does is, now my backend okay, and this is my front end. So what I'll do is, now if I want to show a file called as abc.jsp, if I want to show a file called as welcome.jsp, so I will only focus on the main name of the file. In which folder and which subfolder. Okay, so web INF is your main folder which will hold all these UI files, web capital INF. In that you can make a subfolder. So let's say I make a subfolder by the name view or views. Okay, or my view, whatever. I make this folder. So what I am more concerned is with the, so whenever I will return from the front end, I will just return the name of the file. Like how when we do Java programming, so when we compile we give the full name welcome.java, and when we run we just say Java welcome. We just say the name of the file. That's all. So similarly what I will say is, I will just return the name of the JSP file. Just the name of the JSP file. Whatever extra is to be added, in which subfolder it is and what extension it is, okay, that is managed over here by the dispatcher servlet. So it is telling me it's in the web INF view and the extension is JSP. So if I were to have extension as HTML, if I were to have extension as HTML, Now how will we configure the view resolver for this use case? If I copy this code over here, so and paste it, so I would now resolve it like this: web inf my view, and what is the end? Dot html. That's it. So that is what the dispatcher servlet is doing, nothing more than that. It is routing that when the request comes to the dispatcher servlet, it says you please go over here and they will assist you. And when I will send the data from the backend, I will just give the name of the file and it will route my request to that file. So it will open this file. Okay, so these two basic we have to do the configuration. Okay, so now so as we have told in web inf view, so I have to go and make a folder in the web inf and make a folder by the name view. Whatever name you have given, you have to follow that. Say web inf, I made a view folder because it is in the view folder. And paste all your libraries over here in the lib. So paste all the libraries in the lib. So this is a spring jars lib. I do a control A, control C, copy them, come to the lib, right click and paste. So all the jars get copied into my. So when we do it the Maven way, this manually copy from the jars task will be eliminated when will we do via Maven. Okay, so all the jars have come over here. So okay, the view folder also has been configured. These two also. Okay, so this is the file, and in this we have got the base package com.greatlearning, and that is my base package over here. Perfect. Rest all looks good to me. So now let's see. These have been done. Okay. So as we will be routing to the controller, you can directly go to the controller also if you want. You can tell that all your request will be managed by classes in this package. So we can make in this great learning, we can make a new package called as dot controller. So this also is acceptable. So we are routing all our requests to this controller. So now let's make a controller. Right click, new class. Okay, you can give whatever name you want to give. I'm giving it as my controller. Okay. So if you want that, see, we are not maintaining any config file over here. No bean config file is maintained over here. Context, application context. But I want IOC container to make a bean of this. And whenever I ask for a bean of the controller, it should give me. So what should I annotate over here? What should I annotate over the class? Add component, right? So we have an option. So whichever class I want the IOC container to make a bean and keep it for me, I have to annotate on that class @component. You can use this, or they have called some stereotype annotation. They have some stereotype annotation. So you can mark it with @component, or you can use either of them. You can use @controller. You can use @rest controller. You can use @service, @entity, the one we had used in Hibernate, @repository. You can use either of these stereotype annotations, and if you don't remember any of these annotation, then you can use, or if you want, you can directly use add component. With that would also be fine. So, but now as we are splitting the business logic controller, so if you look at the architect of your application, your data, that is the model data, has to pass through various stages before it actually enters into the database. So this is my database, let's say, and this brown is my front end. This brown is my front end, and this blue is my database. So if a request comes to insert a record, so if a register request comes, which has given me the user ID and all that stuff, and I want to register this user. So first, the one who will receive the request is your controller. So controller will just receive the request. So there will be some method over here which will receive the request. So that is done by the help of mapping. By the mapping, we will come to know which method will receive a request. Now once this method receives the request, this method will send for the business logic part to the service layer. So this will apply all the business logic which we have to apply. And then the service layer, once the logic is done, will send to the repository layer or the DAO layer, data access object, okay, for the database communication. So database communication task will be taken care by the repository layer. So this is how the data will flow. So the model class will come from the client to the controller. From the controller it will go to the service. From the service to the repository to the database. This is if it is an insert query. If it is a select query, from the database to the repository to the service, and then whatever manipulation you want to do as per your business logic. So display me students, okay, who have got more than 70%. So this will get you all the students. So this will get you all the students. Whatever filtration you want, you do at the service layer, and then pass it to the controller, and controller will then give the response. So controller's task is just to be the single point of contact for the front end. So your controller is your single point of contact to the front end. So front end will only ask the controller. So it will give the controller, it will take from the controller. And controller now has a series of helper classes, the service class, repository class. They will do the job. So like this, the code is split into various sub different packages. So each of these are in a different package. So each of these are different package. So you'll have one package for controller, one package for service, one package for repository, and one package for the model, the data which is flowing. So the fourth package will be for the model. So a basic Spring Boot application should have these four, and the fifth for the main method, that is the driver app. So these five packages should be there basic. Now I am just doing a hello world example, so I'll just take only this package. By the end of the session, you all should be familiar with the other packages also. So now I have made the controller package. So I know that this is a controller class. So don't give @component. Both will work. Even if you give @component, your project will work fine. Your project will work fine. So this is also stereotype. And if you know that this is a controller class, instead of giving add component, give add controller. So this controller we use when we just return the name of the view. Okay, so my displaying the information will be done in the welcome.jsp, which is in the webinf, which is in the view subfolder. So I will now only pass this part as a string. As a string, I will just pass this much, that the response should go to this file. So whenever I get a request, I have to send a response. So if in the response I only want to send the name of the file, that's all, and the view resolver takes care of the rest. So if you are sending only the name of the file in a string format, then you can use the controller. So controller class is used when you want to send the name of the view in just plain string format, and the rest is managed by the view resolver. So here, okay, so let's try to come and tally from here. Dispatcher servlet is done. Now I write a hello controller. Now whenever the front end will give me the endpoint as /hello. Okay, so what the entire path will be? The entire path will be localhost :8080 or whatever the port number you have on / then the name of the application. What is it? B5 B5 _ springMVC. After that, whatever you type as an endpoint. So if you type hello, means /. Okay, so this much has been done. So what is left now? Only this is left. So this is what is mapping over here. Okay, so if you would say great, so I will say over here /great. Okay, so if you say greet, I will say /greet. So if someone hits the /greet endpoint, okay, you just have to say, so this method will be executed. So this method will be executed, public string, and you can use the same as method name also if you want. And what is this greet method doing now? It will return me the name of the view. So I say, let's go to Virat. I just return the name of the view. So this view should be there in my view folder. So I come right click over there, view, JSP file, give the name virat.jsp, and okay, hello world, and here h1 I can say welcome Virat. That's all, simple. So whenever a request comes to the dispatcher servlet, it will say please go to this package. They will help manage your request. So I come to this package. In this package, as of now I have one controller. So we will come to this controller. It will check the endpoint. If it is greet, it will come to this method, and this method will then route me to this view. Okay, so this is the view name. I am not giving the suffix webinf view, nor am I giving the I'm not using the prefix web view, nor am I giving the suffix .gsp, directly the name of the view. So we'll come in this folder and we'll check is there a view by this name. If it is, my application will route to this and I will should get this on the screen. I save it. Okay, right click on my application and then run as run on server. Okay, I not save. Let me save all my work first. I save all my work. Right click, run on server. Choose this, select it, check this always so it will not ask you every time. And now your server is starting below. And once it starts, it will route you to the once it routes finishes, it will route you to the yeah. So now it has routed me over here. So now I have come only to 8080 B5 Spring MVC. But now the endpoint I have to give is hello. So if I give this endpoint, it will what happened? Spring MVC. What did I give over there? In my controller, we have given greet. Okay, we not given hello. So what should I should have entered over there greet, not hello. So as I hit greet, did not find the current representation target resource. Okay, let's say before running, do a project clean, guys. Have this habit. Try to do a project clean. Okay, so B5 Spring MVC, do a project clean. B5 Spring MVC slash clean. Okay, so once you have done the project clean, now try to run the project. Run on server. So I come here, and now if I try to do a greet, why is it not? This I did not find the current representation. I hope my configurations are correct. My web XML is routing it to web INF Spring MVC demo servlet.xml over here. Demo servlet.xml is doing base packages com.getLearning.controller com.getLearning.controller. This also is good. I come to my controller. I allotted with add controller. I have a request mapping slash greet. Spring MVC greet. Yeah. They should route me to this virat.jsp. And it should be welcome Virat. Yes. Yeah, rest all looks good to me. Yeah, no, not a problem. We just have to sort this out. So it's not a big issue as to why it is not routing. So no mapping for HTTP request with URI slash d5 spring MVC greet. Okay, if I just give a default one, if I give a default, let's see if this is working. So if I done the changes, I will request that always try to do a project clean. Okay, clean the project always. is cleaning the project. I close it, run it again, and if it routes, this is just the root. Okay, so as the application open, we'll hit this endpoint. So we should open up a fresh browser. So it's opened up a fresh browser, the fresh browser, and it has come welcome Virat. Getting it, guys? So the root is working. Then let's try to hit some, try to make more endpoints. So the root is working. Let's try to hit more endpoints. Let's say now we can say any endpoint. Let's say March, and March. Let's route it to Rohit. And you can't have function with the same name over here. So let's say greet. Let's say any name. Okay, you can just play around with this. Okay, so now if I come here and try to give this endpoint MARCH, it will now direct this to my controller and will say, okay, where is this slash march over here? Okay, which is that method is handling it? Okay, this method is handling it. He will say, okay, go to this view. So when I hit slash march, which file should open? Rohit.jsp. So do I have it? No. I go to the view. I go and create a JSP file by the name rohit.jsp, and I say over here, welcome to Mumbai Indians fan page. Okay, I save it. I shut down all my existing servers. I do a project clean on which one? On my B5. Okay, on my B5 springMVC. I select this, do a clean. Okay, it's cleaning my project. Okay, all good. Once the cleaning has been done, I right click on the application name and go to run on server, and now it will, first thing when it will start, it will open up the root page. Okay, so it will open up a root page which will go to Virat, and it will display me this on opening, welcome Virat. Okay, so it's opened up and it has showed me welcome Virat. And now if I say, if I want to hit this endpoint now, guys, now if I want to hit this endpoint slash march, so it will route it to Rohit, and Rohit over here will display me welcome to Mumbai Indians. Let's see if this is working. So I come over here and slash march. Okay, I just hit a slash march, and it is routing me to this Rohit view, and it is showing me welcome to Mumbai Indians fan page. Yes, though maybe guys still here, everything understood? Anyone lagging behind till here? So this was my basic hello world. So my first file completes over here. The part 1 completes. Now let's come to part 2. Any concerns? Okay, let me close up the documentation of part 1 now. So the documentation says, okay, you can make as many controllers. So as I said, multiple okay, you can have multiple endpoints coming to the same method, guys. You can come multiple endpoints to the same, so you can use this. Okay, this is interesting. So if I want one method, okay, let's say April, okay, Mumbai Indians, let's say Chennai Super Kings. So I want slash Dhoni or, so now I can give value over here. Value equals to, and in parentheses I can give which all endpoint should come here. So Dhoni should come here. Who all are there in Chennai? Chahar should come here. Comma separated, and IPL should come here. So if I hit any of these endpoints, they all should come to, and now I will make a new UI, CSK, and I'll go to a view and make a JSP, CSK dot JSP, and as we had Mumbai Indians fan page, we will make Chennai Super King fan. So irrespective, whichever endpoint the user will target, whether it is Dhoni, whether it is, okay, let's try to make it simple, whether it is Mahendra, whether it is Singh, or whether it is Dhoni, I want to route to Chennai Super King view. So this view is CSK and will tell me welcome to CSK fan page. Okay, I save my work, I shut down my previous servers. Okay, this drill I follow. I do a project clean so that it takes up my settings. Look for your project. Look for your project V5 MVC. Do a clean. Yes, it's clean. Right click, run as, run on server. Okay, happy. At the end of the session, we'll try to see. Try following what the steps I am doing. Maybe then it will be beneficial for you. Okay, so by default, it is coming to the default home page. Now I want to route to Mumbai Indians fan page. So I will give slash March. So I'll give slash March. Will route me to the Mumbai Indians fan page. And now if I give any of these, let's say if I give Singh, it routes me to the Chennai Super King fan page. If I would give Dhoni, also would route me to Chennai Super King fan page. And if I would give Mahendra, let's again give March. So we get a difference. And now if I give Mahendra, will also route me to Chennai Super King fan page. Am I understood, guys? This was simple, basic hello world case insensitive. Okay, let's try it. Let's try it. No harm in trying it. No harm in trying it. Okay, I make the capital M of Mahindra. I save all my work. I shut down all my previous servers. The blank, okay, my canvas is blank. No, nothing on the console. I do a project clean. This drill I follow so that it refreshes my changes. So where were we? B5. B5 springMVC Maven. I select it, clean it. Right click on the application. Run as, run on server. So now I have given M as capital. Okay. So let's see whether if I give a small m, will it route me to the view. So here I come, by default it is routing over here. Then let's take March, routing to Mumbai Indians. Let's take Singh routing to Dhoni. Now let's take Mahendra with a small d, small m route. Okay, see now it is not routing, so it is case sensitive. I take a capital M. Okay, so hence prove it is case sensitive. Good one, Shubham. Prove that the endpoints are case sensitive. If I am doing with a small m, it's not routing. See, 404 page not found. Good one, guys. I would want you all to come up with such questions. We can do the trial and error over here only. Okay, so basic core is done. I have showed all this. Then okay, then run on server. Then I had explained to my okay. If you try to run the application and your browser is opening over here only, in Eclipse it is opening, and if you want to open on a fresh browser, on a fresh Chrome, then what settings you can do is you can go to Windows, go to browser and choose whichever browser you want to use. Okay, or you can go to preferences. You go to preferences, you will see a browser. You'll see. So in the preferences, you will see. Okay, I have given the points over here. So go to Windows, go to preferences, go to general, go to web browser. So go to general, go to web browser, and in web browser select, do you want to open in the default in your Eclipse, or you want to open any of your browsers? Check it and apply, and it will start opening over there. Okay, so these few settings I wanted to share with you all. This ends my session 1. Let's close this, and what have it changes over here? Okay, let's save it, no problem. And now let's try to open the second part, in which we will know what is a model, in which we will understand what is a model. So I come here. Okay, so we have 3 things: model, model map, and model and view. So let me share that with you all first, the difference between them. Okay, first let me do a simple one. Let's do a simple example of model, then maybe I'll go to the complex ones. So let's take a simple example. So here what I'm doing is, guys, till now whatever data is there, I'm not passing any parameters from my backend to this page. This page is just static data. Okay, but now if I want to pass some parameters from here, okay, so instead of saying welcome Virat, okay, I take a variable, okay, and let's say I say this. Now this king, as I have put it into, okay, I put a dollar before it. Put a dollar before it. Now as I have taken a variable over here, whoever is calling this view, Virat, who is calling Virat? Virat is being called by this method. Now it is the responsibility of this method to pass that variable value for the king. So for that, what I will take is, I will take a model, try to understand this, and to this model I will add an attribute to which I will name as king. This is the key which I am sharing over here. Okay, so this what is showing over here, king, is come from here. Okay, so if you take any other my king, so you have to change over here my king, and whatever value I want to associate with that king, I will give over here with and I will then route to this Virat. And now my Virat will directly read from my model, and it will say my king. What is the value of my king? My king value is Virat Kohli. So it will display me welcome comma Virat Kohli. So like this we can send the data. As I said, no model is used to just send the data to and from the front end and back end. So now what am I doing? From my back end, I want to send Virat Kohli to the front end. So I take a model as a parameter over here. To that model I add an attribute to the key value pair. So this is the key, this is the key, this is the value. So key is my king value whatever, and then I route it to Virat, and Virat comes here and I display my king. Okay. So now let's try to run this. So I stop all this. I save my one. I do a project clean. And now when I run my application, it will go to the controller. Okay, there's an error in the controller. Why is that? Controller is showing an error. Did I not import the? Okay, no semicolon is not given. So better now again I'll have to stop it. Again stop my application. Yes, yes, yes. Stop it here. Stop it. Do a clean. There was an error over here. So unless there is an error, everything is clean. It will not work. So this normally shows up my application name over here every time and now try to do a right click, run as on server. So it will come to the controller, will the root tag, will come to this method. I have taken a model to send data from my backend to the front end. To this model I add an attribute by the name, the key is my king, whatever value is over here. Then I route it to this view. This view will come and wants to display. See, it's loading up. Okay. See the spelling also Virat. Okay, so did I spell it wrong in the controller? Yes, I did. So this is what your model does. Now if you want to pass multiple data, okay, so now if you want to pass multiple data, then we can use model map. Then what we can use is, we can use model map rather. So I can use a model map and say model map, import it. Okay, now model map. Okay, so now I can pass multiple. So if I say cricketer, I can say Virat Kohli, and now to this model map I can add multiple key value pairs. So if I say actor, I can say Shah Rukh Khan, and if I say businessman, I can say Mukesh Ambani. So now I can, and now when I will route to Virat Kohli, now I want to welcome Virat Kohli. So how will I welcome Virat Kohli now? I will, so this will route me to Virat, but now I have three keys: cricketer, actor, and businessman. So here I will say the key over here. I want to welcome all of them. I want to welcome all of them. So I will welcome the cricketer, welcome the actor, and welcome the businessman. Okay, I can write that and copy the spelling of this. So I want to welcome all of them. So I do a save. So this is what is the exclusiveness of model map. You can pass multiple key value pairs and then return to the view where you want to return. Okay, so this both will return to the same view. Okay, so now I will I'll comment out this now. Okay, I'll comment out this and we'll route the root to the this method now. Okay, so this method my root will route. I save it, project, clean. Okay, it pops up. Right click, run as, run on server. So this will be your okay. So the view is loading and I get to see all of them. So now I can pass the data from my backend to the front end with the help of the model. And then there is a third called as model view. Okay, that doesn't add much value, doesn't add much of a value. So what model view does is, so now I will comment out this. Okay, I'll comment out this now and shift that routing over here. So in your model and view, you don't pass anything as a parameter over here, keep it blank, and you make an object of that model and view over here. So model and view MAV equals to new model and view. Okay, and now it will return a model and view. Now it will not return a string. Okay, so remember this, the model view doesn't return a string, it returns a model and view object. So it will not return a string, it will return a model and view object. And now I will return MAV now. This is the difference. Okay, so to where I will return this Virat. So this Virat you can pass over here. And now you can say return MAV. And now to this MAV you can add an object. MAV, don't add attribute, you add object. Okay, you see add object. So like this, you can add multiple objects over there and return this MAV to this view. So I pass the name of the view inside the object while creating it, and no need to pass anything over here. And return type will be model and view because I'm returning a MAV. MAV is of type model and view. So this will also work the same. Okay, now let me change the name of the cricket and everything. And okay, so I do a save. I stop my all servers running, clear the console, do a project clean, go to my project, clean it. Now run my project, run on server. So I'm routing it to Virat only, but now the names of the personalities will be different. So now if you see my browser screen, it has displayed me those three. So this is the difference between model, model map and model and view. Okay, pass one value, pass multiple values, add attribute, and don't return a string, return the model and view, give the model view name over here. Okay, if you don't want to give the name while constructing the object, If you don't want to give the name of the while constructing the object, you can also do it like this. Okay, so greet one. So I'll comment this out. I'll comment this out. So now if you don't want to give the name of the view while creating the object, you can just say empty and then mav dot, you can check set view name, and then you can pass over. Okay, so you can do this also. This also variation you can try. Okay. I've listed down all of these in my notes. Okay, so those are self-sufficient and self-explanatory. So now I can show you the MVC notes. Now I can show you that model map view notes. Okay, so see over here. So if I usually model, I put test, I write Virat Kohli welcome. If I say model and view, so I can pass the view name as a parameter to the constructor, pass the elements and return the MAV object. Okay, and you can also do it if I'm not passing it in the constructor, you can set it as a view name, and you can pass multiple objects also. And for the model map, same as your model, but you can pass multiple values. Am I understood, guys? Anyone having any confusion whatsoever? So now so this is how you send the data from your backend to the front end. Model view. So I give a test. Okay, and here I have explained you all everything how we can do. Okay, if I want to pass an entire object, very interesting. I want to pass an entire object. Now what to do? So whatever you are going to send is a class. So that class will be a model class. So make a new package, a model package or entity package, whatever suits you. Let's say model. So now in this, make a student class, make a class, because now I want to send an object. So I go to student, and over here let's create a basic student object, private integer roll number, private string sname, private double percentage. Okay, let's try to have all those. Source generate constructor using fields. Anybody who's thinking that a pace is a bit faster, then let me know. So I have to cover a lot of topics today. Setters. If you are going to send the data, you should have a getter setter for that, because it will read from the getter setters, and toString if you wish to. Okay. So now if I want to send this object, so now if I want to send an object, okay, let me take this example now. Comment this out. Okay, I comment this out also. So we have slash match, slash variables in only. So root I want only one. Okay, at the moment, yeah, this is the one. So now what I make is I make an object now. Student S1 is new student, and this S1 I set the roll number as 101. So not set name as Alice, and s1 dot set percentage as 78.5. And now what I do is I add this attribute s1 and I name it as my stud. Remember this, guys. So now I'm sending an object. Whatever we send from the front end and back end is a model, right? So I'm sending this object, entire object s1. So s1 is my data which is going and my called as my stud going to Virat. So I come here. Now I will say my, what is it, capital S, small s, and then after that whatever I want to display I can put over here. So I can say roll number, s name, and so all these attributes I can display over there. Roll number, s name, and per. So when I come to my view, I display my stud. What is my stud? I'm in the Virat view. So I come over here, the Virat view, I'm sending S1. So S1 in the view will be referred to as my stud. So my stud everywhere will be that student object, and I'm displaying all the details of that student object. Okay, so I can change this, the roll number, name, and person. Okay, so I save it, stop my server, clear my browser, project, clean, choose my app which I wish to clean, this one, clean. Once done, right click, run as, run on server. So now when the fresh browser will be open, you will know. So now when the fresh browser will open over here, it should display me all those details. Okay, loading now, and the details of that object. What happened? Did not, current representation of the target resource is not willing to disclose that one exists. What happened? Did I miss up? Is there any error? My stud, right? Yes. So what happened? Model is there. Tell me what happened over here, guys. Any problem? See, I did not give the mapping to this. I did not give the mapping. I should have given this, right? So it did not know where to come. It was supposed to come here, but I did not give any mapping to it. Okay. So now changes have been done. Clear, save, clean. This normally puts it in the first box. Run on server. I'll keep the browser open for y'all. If it runs, it should show us over here. Okay, it's loading, and after loading, you get to see that. Okay, guys, all good till here. I've finished 2 slides. Okay, and then I can pass the object. So you can pass the string, and you can pass the object. So you make a class, you make data setters, and you make an object of that. Pass it as a model to the hello, and the hello will display it like this. So I stood dot s name. S name is the attribute of the class. Okay. Okay, what if you want to make a hyperlink? Okay, let's try to do this. This is also very interesting. One view wants to route to another view. One view wants to route to another view. Okay. So when I route to the home page, it shows me this information of Virat. So I come to Virat. After showing all this information, I do a horizontal rule, and then I tell that I want to go to the Chennai Super King homepage. Okay, so I make an anchor tag href, and I want to go to Mumbai Indians fan page, and I want then your BR, and then I also want to go to Chennai Super King fan page. So which are those endpoints which are taking, which is the endpoint which is taking me to the Mumbai Indian fan page? I come to the controller, which is that endpoint which is taking me to the Mumbai Indian fan page is this slash march. So I remove the slash, I don't copy the slash, I just copy the endpoint without the slash. And which is the endpoint which is taking me to CSK fan page? CSK fan page, anyone. Okay, so let's take one. So now what I can do is, once my home page loads, will display me detail of this student, will show me horizontal line, and then I am seeing two hyperlinks, one showing Mumbai Indian fan page, one showing CSK fan page. When I click on that hyperlink, will route me to this endpoint, the controller, March. So I will come over here in March, and March will route me to the Rohit view. So when I click on March, when I click on Mumbai Indians fan page, will route to the controller March, and the March controller will route with the Rohit view, and I will get to see welcome to Mumbai Indians fan page. Similarly, when I click on CSK fan page, will route me to the controller Dhoni. Dhoni controller will route me to the view called CSK, and CSK will show me welcome to Chennai Super fan page. Okay. Stop this project, do a clean, do a clean, done. Let's try to run the application. Right click, run as, run on server, and let's wait for it to open the view over here. So it will load, and we'll put a horizontal line over here, and after that it will put two hyperlinks also. Okay, it's loaded, a line and a hyperlink, and I click on Mumbai Indian fan page, routes me to this. When I click on this, routes me to CSK. Okay, so you can also use hyperlinks. This also I have showed over here how to go to hyperlinks. So you can say go to home page and go to this endpoint, make an endpoint, go to this view and make a view by this name. Okay, so second also is done. Let's take the third one for today. Let's take a break of around 5-7 minutes, guys. When I am back, we'll start with the third part, how to make a UI. So whatever model we are creating, I want to make a UI. From the UI, I want to accept. So here what we did is, whatever object I created, whatever object I created, I hard coded the values. But now I want to make a web form. What I will do is, what my next target is. So here the object which we created was a hard coded object with hard coded programmer values. But now what I want is, don't programmer will not give the values. Values will be given by the end user. So maybe I'll make a UI now. In that I will ask user enter the roll number, enter the name, enter the percentage, and I will give a user a button called as submit. And when the user submits, then I will display those values. So now we will make a UI and ask the user to enter details. This is what we are going to do next. So this is the part 3, student registration. So I'll keep the screen for y'all. If you have any doubts, you all can mark them and bring them up after the session, after the break. Yes guys, I'm back. So how do we make this scenario happen, that from the front end we need to accept the details? So let's try to code that. So let me take a very fresh new canvas. So what roadmap we'll follow is, when the root is hit, okay, it is diverting to the this method, to the greet method, which has a model which I will be sending to the front end. Okay, the greet method will be there. So what I will do is, in this greet method I'll make an empty object now. Okay, it's an empty object. I will call it as empty student object, and I will route it to the view Virat. Okay, so I'll come over here. Okay, no, not over here. Okay, so let's not do this over here. Let's just keep this very simple. Okay, so when the user enters slash, I'm routing to Virat. That's all I'm doing. So remove all this. Okay, so I'll just say over here, welcome to great learning. Okay, I'll just show this message, and then I will say new user register here. Okay. Try to understand what I'm trying to do. So when the user will directly run the application, will route to the root, and root will route to the view Virat. Okay, so this will route. Okay, this will route to the method greet. Greet method is not having any argument. Greet method is not having any argument, and it is returning me a string, and it is returning me Virat. So I will, okay, this is the request method. So if someone runs the application. By default it will go to the root and root will go to Virat. This is what we are doing. In Virat, what we are trying to do is we are just greeting that person. So this is what we are trying to do in Virat. We are just greeting that person and we are giving a hyperlink which will say register. Okay. So just simple, it is doing this form. That's all this Virat view is doing. So Virat view is routing me to the register endpoint. So now I should have a register endpoint. So let's create that. So what is Virat doing? Just routing me to a register end. So now let me go to my application and search for, do I have a register endpoint? No, I don't have a register endpoint. I will create it. Okay, and then whatever function name you want to give, you can give student registration. Okay. Now in this student registration, I will create an empty student object. Try to understand this, what we are trying to do. And now I want to pass this empty student object to whichever view I want to create. So I want to create a registration form view. I want to create a registration form view. To this view, I want to pass this student object. So what I will take? I will take a model and I will say model dot add attribute, and this is my empty student object, nothing in it. So I'll call it as empty student object. Which one is it? S1. So when I will click on the register hyperlink, it will route me to this method. I'll make an empty object of a student and add it as to my model and then route to this view registration form. So this view should be there. New JSP file. And now this JSP file will accept the detail of the student. Okay. So now we are into here. So this was the first layer. Then what was in register? So in register we wrote this. So this was the register controller, which is just whenever it will call the registration form, it will pass an empty student object. So now I will go to the registration form JSP file. Okay, so this was your virat.jsp file. And now I have to go to registration form.jsp. So here I come in the, and here what we have to do, here we have to draw the entire form. So this HTML file will now ask us the user to enter the roll number, enter the name, because that object which I passed is blank. Enter percentage. So I will have to do some programming which will ask me to enter all these details: roll number, S name, and percentage, and I will give a submit button. I will give a submit button. When I click on this submit button, I want to route to which endpoint? That I will say is @request mapping save student details. I want to, on the click of the submit button, I want to go to which mapping. So when I click on the submit button, I want to go to this endpoint. Slash save student record. This endpoint I want to go. So I will create this endpoint also now in my controller. Which will have a method public string save student record. So now what this will do is, whatever details I have entered over here, 18, Virat, and 78.5, all these filled details will go over here. So if I want to send from backend to front end, remember this, if I want to send from backend to the front end, send the data, that is the model, from backend to front end, I will use model. And if I want to send, so here the empty object I made in the backend and set into the front end to this, so I use over here model. But when I want to receive from the backend, and when I want to do vice versa, this, for that I will use @model attribute, @model attribute. Remember that. So here whatever this filled object will come. Okay, so I want to explain you all. What came as an input to this form was an empty student object. A student object with roll number as 0, name as null, and percentage as 0.0. Because the no args, the default constructor of Java, will make the object with roll number as 0, name as null, objects will be given null value, and double will be given 0.0. So this has come as an input to this. Now when I fed the values, this object now, when will come to the save student, will not come null, will come with the filled details or whatever I have filled over here. So roll number has become 18. Name whatever I have filled in the text box. and percentage whatever I have filled in the text box. So whatever will come in the @model attribute will be the filled object. So whatever will come in the @model attribute, which is a parameter of the save student, will be a filled object. Okay, so you can give whatever name you want. So here I had sent empty student object. Now I will say fill student object, and now I can store it in a new object in my controller called as S2. So these two things you all have to understand. What is @model attribute and what is your model. So if I want to send from the backend to the front end, I will make a model. So now my S1 is empty. Now when I am sending this S1 to the registration form, I am sending an empty object. In that form, I will ask the user to populate the value for the roll number, name, percentage, and there I will create one more object. And on submit, I will be hitting which endpoint? On submit, I will be hitting this endpoint. So this filled object, when it will come to the save student endpoint, will come as a model attribute. So now the model attribute object has roll number as 18, name as Virat, and percentage as 78.5, and that will also come in the S2 object. So if I want to display over here itself, I can say S2 dot get roll number and S2 dot, if I want to display them on the console, get S name and get per. So but that what we all want to do that. So let's take one step at a time and try to understand. So Virat has routed to register. Register has made an empty student object, tied it to the model with the name empty student object, and routed to this view registration form. Now I am over here. Now what will the registration form do of that empty object? That is what we have to understand. So whenever you are going to make a form, use this tag library as the, don't use this page language content, use this tag library if you are going to make a form. So that I have done, and then whatever message you want to give, welcome to the great learning, please sign up. So give this message. Now after that, we have to have a form attribute. Try to understand this. So this form attribute, whatever is opening should be closed also. That empty object is coming over here. Okay, so whichever I had told over here controller that go to the registration form. So what did I tie my model to? I tied my model to this string empty student object. So that empty student object has come here. And when I will click a save on this form, the form has save button. It will go to which endpoint? It will go to save student detail endpoint. So when I will submit this form, it will go to which endpoint? When I will submit this form, it will go to this endpoint. It will go to this endpoint. Okay, so what we will do over here, we'll see. So that is what is meant by action and the model attribute. So when I called this registration form, what name I gave to the model, that is showing over here, same to same. And when I will submit this form, so this form will have a submit button. Will have a submit button. So which endpoint will be invoked? This endpoint will be invoked. So I have made that endpoint also over here. As of now, just kept a blank one. Now let's try to add that elements. So whatever text boxes we have going to take of the user. So let me show you how it is done. So what you can do is roll number, form input with the text box, and I am going to of this object the roll number which I will enter in this text. This is text box. Will be mapped with which attribute of this object? Roll number. Name with which attribute? Name. And percentage with which attribute? Percent. So this path should be matching with the elements over here. RNO, SNAME, PER. RNO, SNAME and PER. So now my this empty object will be populated with this data. A form should have a submit button. So this is my submit button. And when I click on the submit button, whose value is registered. So what you want to see on the button? So on the button should be seen register. So when I click on this button, it will route to this endpoint. And all this empty object which was there now has been populated. So that empty object now over here will become a filled object, and I will say at the rate model attribute, and now I can give whatever name I want to give. Filled student object, and if you want you can use it over here student s2. And now once I've got it over here, then I will route to a form which will display me these details. So I will go to display registration detail. We'll go to this view. So let's make a view. And in this view, whichever detail I want to show, I can fetch it from this model now. What is it? So I can show it over here with my H1. Okay. Please verify the information entered by you. So let's verify it. So let's take H2, and I will say what? The roll number you entered was of this object dot rn, and the name what you entered was of this object dot sname, and the percentage what you entered was of this dot. As simple as that. So this will be the entire journey. Let me try to explain you all once again what I try to do. So when I try to load my application, it will hit the root tag. A root tag will route me to Virat. Virat will just show me a welcome message and will give me a hyperlink. If I have to register a user, I'll go to the register endpoint. So we'll go to the register endpoint. This endpoint, I have to send an empty object, so I can get a filled one from the front end. So I make an empty object, link it to the model by saying empty object, student object, this S1, and route to the registration form. So I come to the registration form, okay, display a message. Then whatever that empty object has come is come in my model attribute now of the form. So of this form tag, that empty object has come over here. I will populate that empty object with some information from the user, and when the user hits submit, I will send this populated object to this endpoint called same student. Now from the front end, I am sending to the back end. So from the front end, this is the front end, I am sending to the back end, to this endpoint, save student details. So from the front end, when you send to the back end, you use @model attribute to hold that data. So we use @model attribute, and whatever that object is coming, I'm naming it as filled object, so that when I send it to some other view, I can refer to it as by this name, and I'll hold it in the student class object, and then I'll route my data, just come to this endpoint, display details. So we'll come here. So whatever detail has come over here, I'm just displaying them from this model filled student, because who is calling display registration detail? Display registration detail is being called by this save detail method. So over there, what is the model? Over here, the model is filled student object. So when I will display from here, I will display on the filled student object and their details. So I've done a save, done the cleaned the canvas, clean the project, and let's check if it is running as per expectation. So we will come to the first, we'll come to the root tag Virat, and we'll come to this page, which will have a registration link. So we'll come to the home page, which has a link. So when I click on this link, when I click on that link, it goes to the endpoint register. So we'll go to the endpoint register, and it will send an empty object to this registration form. So when I click on that, it will open up the registration form and show me the details. So it opens up a registration form and shows me the detail. Now when I fill this detail and do submit, see the button name is submit. Then it is showing register. Whatever I have written over here is the caption for this button. Now when I click on register, it will go to take this filled object to the save details endpoint, to this detail endpoint, and whatever detail I have filled will come in this student s2 object, which I will address as fill student object, and that I will send to this view, which will display me that record. Okay, so I enter 1845 Virat Rohit percentage 78.5. I do a submit. It goes to that endpoint and displays me the data. Yes, guys, are you all able to join the dots, or it is still getting confusing as the session is progressing? Anyone from you all who wants to discuss? Yes, guys. So have you all done the front end sessions of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all that? Then things would have been more easier to understand. But this is how the data is flowing from one view to the another view via the controller. Controller is just trying to act as a router between them and sending the information. Okay, HTML CSS is not done yet. But are you all understanding this? What I'm trying to show over here? Okay. So this was my third UI part. Like this, if you want to add radio buttons, you can add them. If you want to add check boxes, you can add. That is not much of a deal. Simple. Just you have to change the control. So input means input text box. Radio button means from all these options choose any one. From all the given options, you can choose any one, and you can choose all in a checkbox. So you can set this data also across. Okay. So this is how you will interact and display. Apache Tomcat configuration was in the first file. Apache Tomcat configuration is in this file. So you go to the Apache website, download this zip, extract this zip at any location, then go to your Windows, show view, servers. So it will give you a hyperlink. You click on the hyperlink or right click on this blank area and add a new server. Choose your server version. So choose 9.0. Click on next. Browse for the directory where you extracted that zip file and select over here and finish. That's all. And the server shows up over here. And to link that with our application, go to the project facets and right click on the application, go to properties, go to project facets, and then over there you can choose a Java JDK version, and on the runtime choose your server also. Okay guys, so now we have to do using the Maven part. So now using Maven, the same thing. So this sheet also is complete. So now let's see the fourth one. So Maven, as I explained you all, that how do you create a Spring Boot application. So you don't have only the controller and the model. As of now, we're just having two classes, the controller and the model. But in real time, you will have four packages to deal with. Which one are they? They are the controller, service, repository, and then you have your database if you want to. This is the front end. So now whatever we are doing using the jars, the same we can do with the help of Maven. So make a new Maven project. Okay, click on next. So when it asks you for the filter, right over the web app, choose that filter, click on next, give the details of the project. Okay, so whatever package, base package you want to give, whatever application, artifact ID is the name of the application, and then package is the base package name, and you can finish. If it gets stuck, if it's taking too long to create your Maven project, go to the console and scroll down. Maybe it is asking you to enter a character Y. So enter the character Y, hit enter, and it will resume your project creation. So let's try to do it now. Do you all have any questions to ask? We can keep this 10 minutes for the last for any Q&A or anything which you all want me to repeat once. So file, new Maven project, next, web app, double click it, give whatever name you want to give, artifact ID, so B5 Maven MVC. Okay, just keep the package name as simple. Okay, you can keep as form.great learning also if you want. All this while we are doing the same thing. And you finish. Now it's creating the Maven project for you. If this gets stuck up at a particular percentage, then we can go to the console and check. Okay, so has been created very fast. This one, Maven MVC. So what this will only reduce is, it will reduce the burden of adding the jars explicitly. So in Maven, what we have, in Maven we have a form.xml file. In that form XML file, you can list down whichever jar files you want and it will download for you from the internet. So in the dependency, so one dependency it has downloaded for you. So if you open the Maven dependency, you will see one jar file and that jar file is of JUnit because that dependency is added over here. So now what all dependencies you need to add for a Maven project, I have mentioned them over here. So add these dependencies. Copy this all and go to your dependencies. Oh yes, see the dependencies. After the dependency is done, come here and paste it and do a save and do a project clean and it will start downloading the dependencies. See, it is downloading the dependencies for you. After downloading, if you expand the Maven dependencies folder, you will see all the jar files have been downloaded, relevant jar file have been downloaded. So this is the advantage what Maven brings. Rest the process remains the same. You have plugins also. If you want to download those plugins, you can do that also. So plugin management, these are not that much important, but still if you, so I will just override the plugin management, just override the plugin management. In the build I will just put this. So if you give a, always do a save and do a project clean, it will take all the dependencies whatever it needs. That's all what as of now advantage what Maven will bring to you all. Rest the concept remains the same. Okay, here we have, it is showing J2SE 1.5. We have to change that because we need the two folders over here. So right click on over here, go to build path, configure build path. It has added J2SE. So choose that, go to the libraries tag, choose that and edit it. Edit it by whatever JDK you are using. So go to alternate JRE, choose your JDK. I have 1.8. I finish, apply and close. So now my two folders also come up over here. Check for the facets and everything. So go to properties, go to project facets, choose your dynamic web version as 4.0, choose your Java as 1.8 and runtime as your Java 9.0. Apply and close. So do all these settings. Rest the code remains same to same. Coding doesn't change much. Coding will remain the same. Okay, so in your now, so this is done. Web INF, configure web INF. So just same whatever we had over there. Just you can just keep an eye on the package name. So I go to the web INF. So expand in my src main web app, web inf, web xml. So I remove all this and I paste this. So this was just how your web app will be linked to your dispatcher servlet. Okay, so here I am telling that all my details will, my dispatcher servlet details are in the web inf and con servlet.xml file. So make a file by this name. So go to web inf, right click, make a new file, give it this name. If I copy it properly, copy it, web inf, right click, new, you can say a file and name it as, okay, you're not able to type in over here, so you have to type the name. Okay, so let's keep a simple name here, whatever name, web hyphen servlet dot xml I am giving. Okay, web hyphen servlet dot xml, web hyphen servlet dot xml. This will be a dispatcher servlet. So whatever details should be over there, copy and paste it over here. So that also I put over here. Just you have to copy and paste it. These are configuration settings, guys. So now my root package will be com.greatlearning and it will be the web inf views. So here it is views. So go to the web inf, right click, make a new folder by the name views. And now all your views should be in this folder and all should be of JSP extension. That's all. And now go to your src main Java and make a package by this name, which you are telling that all my controllers will be where. So right click, new, right click, new package. So we have to make how many package? Controller service entity and your repository. You have to make these packages. And dependencies are the jar files which we will download. So those are the dependencies, and plugins are with your IDE. So all your Eclipse compatible stuff with Maven. So how you want to run a Maven clean? So you can execute the Maven clean command. Then you can compile using Maven. So that is your IDE specific plugins, Eclipse specific. So now I made the controller. So if you want to now run your code of the previous, this was your Maven MVC and this was D5. Was the previous code D5 underscore Maven MVC and Spring Core Manual Spring MVC D5 Spring MVC. So now if I take all these, 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 so now if I take all these files from here, if I take the my controller from here and paste it, will work as perfectly as fine. And now if I want the a model entry student class also, and I paste it over here. Yes. So my controller is having this, and I need the views also, right? I need all the views also. So I need the views also. So Maven MVC, that is springMVC. So I go to SRC, main, web app, web INF, view. I can copy all the views from here and paste in the views folder. Yes. Now let's try to run the same code. Okay. So I stop everything. Console is blank. Nothing on the server. Now let's run this Maven MVC. Right click. Okay, I have done all the saving. I would rather do a project clean also once. Revive Maven MVC. Okay, clean it. And now let's try to run this code. Right click. Run on server. Choose the server. Remember my settings and finish. Okay, my controller is showing some error over here, guys. My controller is showing some errors. Maybe because of the class. Maybe because of the class name. Should have imported them. Control Shift O has import. Okay, so again we'll have to do the step. Stop it. Clean it. Yeah, okay. Stop it. Clean the console. Project. Clean. Which one is this now? Maven MVC. B5. B5 Maven MVC. Your project clean. Yeah, now there's no error in the controller. Right click. Run as announce server. So now I did nothing new. I copied the same controller. So Maven doesn't bring nothing new. It just helps to ease up the development phase by importing all those jars required, which we don't have to do explicitly. So now I come over here, and now it is working fine. Hello world has been displayed because hello world. If I go to my Maven MVC, my controller, my root is routing me to Virat, and that is what my Virat is. I am getting, guys. Anyone has any question to answer? Ask, because now this was with Maven, and then there's one how the UI. There's one dependency for the UI called as time leaf. So we can use that instead of using GSP. We can use time leaf. But I guess this today's session was already very overwhelming, so I don't want you all to be confused further. Anyone has any questions, any concerns? I'll share all this code on the Git repo. Okay, I'll do it right away. I'll do it right away. I'll share all this code on the Git repo I said. No, time leaf. Time leaf is like a view. So how we are routing a view to a JSP page. So we can make simple HTML pages and route our views to the HTML pages. And then time leaf will help us to, like how we are in this form, we are using JSP tags over here, form and all that stuff. There we will use time leaf tags. So what I'm trying to tell you all is time leaf will have normal HTML pages instead of JSP pages. Here how I'm using JSP, okay, how I'm using your JSP tags over here of form. Then I will use time leaf tags. That is how it prepares the view for us. It helps us to prepare the view with simple HTML pages. That is your time leaf. So it
So
looks,
which to prefer, time or JSP?
time is good. Yeah, time leaf is preferable because as it is, if you all will be doing React, I guess, right, in the front end. So our front end will be configured on any of the React frameworks like Angular or React. So only for your application, for your standalone applications or basic applications, we can stick with time leaf or JSP. But in the corporate, they'll be using any of the JS frameworks such as Angular or React.